Hey everybody, welcome to KTAL News Now. I'm your host, Anthony Mocklin. We have a very special guest with us here today. We have Rich Hansel, who is the co-education director at the Robinson Film Center in downtown Shreveport, and they are putting on an Oscars 101 informational event on Wednesday, February 26th. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, man.
So what goes into putting on an event like this?
Well, so we have a lot behind it. So Oscars 101 has been a favorite throughout the years because a lot of people have an office betting pool and they want to get a little edge on that. So it's a great chance to come and talk about the films if you've seen them, but if you haven't seen them, as a couple of people have told me they have not, it lets you go through, we run through not just what the films are about, who made them, we run through the odds of them getting Best Picture and the reasons why. There's a lot of indicators from other award ceremonies and things that kind of lead up to the Oscars. And then more than that, we pair it with themed drinks and themed food items that go with it. So it's just a fun event, even if you don't like movies and you just like food and drink, it's a pretty good time.
And I know you touched on this, but what else can guests expect? Even those who haven't seen all the movies, if they're hesitant to go, would you still encourage them to kind of be involved in everything?
I would like to think so. So yeah, they can come out, they get to hear me talk about stuff. So I lived and worked in LA for about 20 years. I still work in the industry. I still have some friends who are Academy voters and things like that. So you get a little inside baseball and you get a little more intel on what do all the names in the credits mean? What do all the categories mean? How do they work? Those kinds of things, and a little bit of the inner working in the politics. A lot of people don't know the Oscars are preferential voting. So you vote 1, 2, 3, not just for your number one. So a lot of times, everyone's third will win that year over a controversial first or second if they're very different. And then again, like I said, even if you don't care about movies at all, we have some wonderful cocktails made by our mixologist Nick and Bailey, and some wonderful food made by chefs Nima and Matthew. So it's just a great chance to hang out and eat and drink good things.
That's awesome. And what made you personally want to work in the film industry, and how has your experience shaped you into the person you are today?
Oh my goodness, well that's a huge question. So I originally I was a musician and I wanted to work in music, and I did an internship at a post house where I was in the music division and it was really dead that summer, and so they made me go work in the TV and film division, and I fell in love with it. I immediately changed my major in college, took a year off to save up money, shifted over to a film school, and then from there moved to LA and just have been in love with it ever since. I always tell people, if you love it, it's the greatest job in the world, and anything less than love, and it's probably a terrible job, because you're away from home, you're working on stuff that people may or may not see, that people may or may not like, but it's a tremendous amount of fun. You work with teams, and you have your own team that you can bring with you, and you get to meet new people, and it's just tremendous. And then having the Robinson here was a huge part of me being able to move to Shreveport. My wife and I both volunteered there before we worked there, and finding that and being able to teach kids something that we both love tremendously it's been great.
Awesome. And with the plethora of resources that are available at the Robinson Film Center, how fulfilling has that been, working with aspiring filmmakers to fulfill their dreams?
It's huge, man, because it's everybody in Hollywood's a dreamer, right? We all move out there. It's a very practical industry in terms of what you need to do to get a film made. You have to be a very practical person, but you also have to be a dreamer to even think you could accomplish that, to be able to think of stories to tell. So taking these kids, sort of taking dreamers and shaping them into people that can make that happen in a practical manner, and then seeing their success. We've had young filmmakers go on. We've seen our kids make beautiful films, win festivals. We've had kids go to Princeton. We've had kids go to SCAD. We've had them go on to really good schools. Even if they don't go into film, which most people won't, learning how to tell a story effectively, learning how to deal with people, learning the EQ to go with your IQ. And then again, even if you're going into sales or you're going to be a lawyer, being able to present your story in a compelling fashion is going to help you in that industry. So just those skills, the combination of practical skills and then seeing them achieve their dreams is just, I never thought I'd be a teacher. We sort of fell into it, and it is tremendously rewarding, it turns out.
Awesome. And as a fellow filmmaker and showrunner like yourself, how has their work sort of inspired your own work in filmmaking?
So it's, again, unexpectedly, it's been an enormous influence. So seeing people that are coming in with fresh eyes, because there's standard practices, right? Everybody's got an SOP on set. There are ways that we've always done things, and there are ways that you do things on a professional set. When you get to work with kids that don't know those ways, sometimes they'll come up with, hey, why don't we do it this way? And you're like, well, they just don't. And then you're like, wait, That actually is a better way. We should do that. So seeing them, they don't know what they don't know. And so it gives you a set of fresh eyes basically every year with new crops of kids. And so it just teaches you a tremendous amount. And we teach classes for K through 12 as well as workforce development. So when you get even second graders coming in, and we do a class where they create their own fairy tale. So we teach them how to take a fairy tale and convert it for film. Seeing them come up with stories, and it's amazing because every once in a while you're just like, that's an amazing, like someone should write that down because that's actually an amazing story. And obviously we encourage their teachers, like, y'all should, this could be a book, you could take this and publish it. So yeah, it's a ton of fun.
I had a personal question for you. I was looking at your staff page, and I noticed that you said that the original Blade Runner is like always in like your rotating top 10
Yes.
favorite films. Do you have any current favorites that you like to share?
Yes, so that's the problem. I try to watch at least one movie or TV show a night. And usually I have a small child, so usually after he goes to bed, I try to just squeeze something in, both to stay current and because I love it. And I rotate between old classics and new things. It's an impossible job. You'll never be able to watch every film. So the one I'm most excited about that I haven't seen is Flow, which is actually open today at the Robinson. It's a Latvian animated story about animals with no dialogue, which sounds terrible and is incredibly well reviewed, is up for a Foreign Academy Award, and looks just amazing. Everyone's seen the trailer, is excited to come see it. So that's the one I'm most pumped for. The Brutalist is fantastic. It's a Best Picture nominee. I can't recommend it highly enough. People, I think, are a little scared by the runtime because it's 3 hours and 30 some minutes. It feels like it's an hour long. It moves incredibly quickly. And Nosferatu this year was beautiful. And I know that's a weird thing to say for a vampire movie, but it's actually a love story and it's and a tragedy, really. But it was just beautifully shot and really well done. I could list 10 more, but I'll stop there.
If you had a vote on the Academy, what would your ballot sort of look like, or do you have any like bold predictions for this year's awards?
I don't, well, not that bold, and I don't want to give away too much for the class in terms of what I think the best ones are. I will say I'll speak to cinematography because I work as a gaffer and occasionally DP on indie stuff. I thought Nosferatu was going to run away with cinematography until I saw The Brutalist. And the people that have seen it will know what I mean. There's a scene in The Brutalist that makes me want to move to a quarry in Italy and just work the marble quarries for the rest of my life because it's one of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen in cinema. And the way they show architecture is amazing. So I think cinematography is going to be really interesting this year. And then there's a lot of... It used to be very unusual for Best Picture and Best Director to split. And this year, there's kind of an equal chance that it'll split as it will stay the same and then also win Best Editing and Best Writing, which is equally unusual for someone to sweep all four. So I'm really interested to see some of the non-Best Picture categories this year because I think it's going to get pretty spicy.
Going off of this year's nominees, do you feel that there were any sort of like snubs or films that weren't recognized that should, get some recognition?
There's definitely talk of snubs. There's nothing that I feel. So this is a year... Once they moved to 10 Best Pictures instead of 5 a few years back, it's become a little more open. I think everything's pretty fairly in this year. I feel pretty good about it. Wicked being in, I think, is a lot of people feel like it got snubbed on some things. I'm not 100% sure it should be in Best Picture, which is a controversial take for our Wicked fans out there. I apologize. But it's there's a lot of controversy on it, both being there and the things it's not in for. And then, obviously there's been some tweets from some actors in other films that have caused a bit of an uproar. I wouldn't have been upset if Nosferatu got in, but it's a strong enough... Conclave deserves it. Nickel Boys is an incredible film and deserves it. Honora is a beautiful work of art as The Brutalist. I feel like it's a pretty good year. I'll leave it at that.
How can attendees at this event, stay involved with the Robinson Film Center, and do y'all have any, upcoming events to look forward to, and things of that nature?
Absolutely. So we always encourage people to join and become members. We are membership driven. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and the money that you spend at the Robinson goes towards education. That is the main part of our mission: is to educate, enrich, and entertain through the power of film. Educate is first there for a reason. So we do a lot of low and no cost classes for K through 12 kids. We do workforce development. We speak at the local universities. I've spoken at universities that are not local. We try to give back to our community as much as possible. And we're building kids up. even if they're not going to go to film, which a vast majority aren't, we're trying to get them to think outside of the box, to work left brain, right brain, synergy and development, and to also learn how to tell their story and to gain the confidence that comes with seeing themselves accomplish a task. It's we always say film's a team sport. So when they come to our summer camps, they start as a disparate group of kids. It's really Bad News Bears. They come together, they form a team, they have an idea, and by the end of it, they get to watch their idea on a movie screen with their parents and their siblings and their friends. And it's a really interesting experience to watch them learn like that. So when people come and they want to get involved with the Robinson, that's the kind of thing your membership is paying for. That's what your bucket of popcorn is paying for, and your movie ticket's paying for, and your dinner upstairs. So we always encourage membership first. We have our Robbies coming up, which is a big event. We're actually having an Oscar watch party, and then also local filmmaker awards with tons of great food and drink. I think there's a couple tickets left. It's selling out quickly. And then tons of great movies coming up. So everybody should watch our website, look out for the movies, and keep an eye on the classes. Sometimes we have some fun stuff for adults.
Awesome. And where can people, get their tickets for the Oscars 101 and learn more about it and everything?
So y'all come on down to the theater. We're down on Texas Street. We're right there downtown. And you can also go to www.robinsonfilmcenter.org, and you can buy tickets that way. Or you can call the box office, and they'll take care of you there.
All right. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We want to, be there, and we're really excited for the event and everything, and just can't wait to hear all about it.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. And thank you guys for joining us today. We're looking forward to the Oscars 101 on February 26th. You can get your tickets online or at the box office, like Rich said. And you can join us on KTAL News Now every Tuesday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. If you haven't yet, be sure to download our news and weather apps at ktlnews.com, which is where you can get all of your breaking news, top stories, trending topics. And if you have a news story for myself, or if you just want to talk, all things movies, you can email me at amocklin@ktalnews.com. But for now, I'm Anthony Mocklin, and thank you for joining us on KTAL News Now.